mysterious and engaging tone. It was supposed to be just another day at the flea market, browsing through forgotten relics, hunting for hidden treasures. But for Sarah, this day would be anything but ordinary. As she weaved through the crowded stalls, the scent of old books and antique wood filled the air. Vendors called out their best deals, and bargain hunters eagerly sifted through boxes of second-hand goods. Then, something caught her eye, a small, dusty smartphone, buried beneath a pile of vintage electronics. It wasn't just old, it looked ancient by modern standards. The once sleek black casing was now covered in grime, the edges chipped and worn by time. A faint crack ran across the screen, evidence of a history long forgotten. But what was most peculiar was the way it called to her. Sarah picked it up, turning it over in her hands. Who did this belong to? Why was it left here, among discarded televisions and broken radios? The phone was off, but she could feel something unsettling about it, something almost alive. A chill ran down her spine as she examined it closer. Most flea market finds had a story, an owner, a past, a reason they ended up here. But this felt different. Suddenly, a thought struck her. What if there was something inside? Photos, messages, a secret waiting to be uncovered. Little did she know, pressing that power button would unravel a mystery far darker than she could ever imagine. This wasn't just an old phone. It was a key to a secret that was never meant to be found. Tense, suspenseful tone. Sarah sat alone in her dimly lit bedroom, the only source of illumination coming from the old desk lamp and the eerie glow of the smartphone before her. The air felt thick with anticipation as she hesitated, her finger hovering over the screen. She had found this phone by accident, a forgotten relic hidden among discarded objects. It shouldn't have turned on. The battery was long dead, the screen cracked, the body covered in dust. And yet, here it was, powered up, displaying an unknown caller's number. 3:33 a.m. Something about that time sent a shiver down her spine. She had read once that strange things happened in the dead of night, between the witching hour and dawn. But this was different. The phone vibrated again. The call persisted. Who could be calling this abandoned device? And how did they know she had it? With a deep breath, she brushed her fingers against the screen. But the moment she made contact, something strange happened. The glow intensified. A soft, distorted voice crackled through the speakers, not words, just static at first, then faint whispers, as if someone, or something, was trying to communicate. Sarah's heartbeat pounded in her ears. This was no ordinary phone call. Then, the whispers turned into a single chilling phrase. You were never supposed to find this. Her breath hitched. The air around her grew colder. The call ended abruptly, leaving only a blank screen, and a deep sense of dread settling in her chest. What had she just stumbled upon? And more importantly, was she now in danger? Suspenseful, eerie tone. Sarah's hands trembled as she held the old phone, its screen flickering with an ominous glow. The words etched onto it sent a cold shiver down her spine. The experiment is compromised. What experiment? What did this mean? Her breath hitched as she read the next lines. The text was distorted, breaking apart like static on an old TV. But she could still make out fragments of the message. If you see this, run. Her pulse quickened. Run. From what? From who? She tried to swipe the screen, to unlock the device, but it resisted her touch as if it had a mind of its own. The message started to glitch, rearranging itself into unreadable symbols. Then, for a brief second, something else flashed, an image. A shadowy figure, watching, waiting. Sarah spun around, heart pounding. But she was alone in her dimly lit room, the warm glow of the bedside lamp casting long shadows. She forced herself to breathe. Maybe this was a prank, a leftover message from whoever owned the phone before her. But deep down, she knew better. This was a warning. The device buzzed violently in her hands. Another message began to type itself out. They know you've seen this. They're coming. Sarah's fingers went numb. The air in the room felt heavier, like something unseen was pressing in around her. Then, footsteps. Faint, distant, but getting closer. Her mind screamed at her to move, to throw the phone away, to run. But she couldn't. She was frozen in place, staring at the glowing screen as the final words appeared. His hands trembled as he held the small slip of paper between his fingers. The words on it were stark, simple, and absolute. Do not open. The glow from his phone illuminated his face, casting sharp shadows across his features. His pulse pounded in his ears, drowning out the quiet of the dimly lit room. Who had sent this? And more importantly, why? He glanced around, his eyes darting to the slanted beams of light creeping through the blinds. The world outside was silent, too silent. It was as if time itself had stalled. He looked back at his phone, the screen locked on a single notification. No sender, no timestamp, just 3 haunting words flashing in bold letters. Do not open. He swallowed hard. His thumb hovered over the screen. Every rational part of his brain screamed at him to obey the warning. Whatever this was, it wasn't normal. But something inside him burned with curiosity. What if it was a prank? A mistake? A warning meant for someone else? The screen pulsed again, as if urging him to make a choice. His fingers curled tighter around the phone. He could feel his own breath, slow and shallow. Then, the message changed. It's too late. They're here. A soft creak echoed from the hallway. His breath hitched. The shadows on the wall shifted unnaturally, stretching, moving. And then, his phone screen went black. The door handle turned, and in that moment, he realized, he never should have even considered opening it. Her breath caught in her throat. The screen in front of her flickered, the grainy footage revealing a group of men in white lab coats, their faces etched with unreadable expressions. One leaned in, whispering something to the elder scientist, who remained eerily still, his piercing gaze locked onto the camera. It was as if he knew she was watching. Her hands trembled as she covered her mouth, trying to suppress a gasp. The timestamp in the corner of the footage, March 8, 1932. That wasn't possible. The device in her hand wasn't an old television, yet the footage looked ancient, distorted by time itself. She didn't recognize the room, the people, or the strange device the older man held in his hand. But something inside her whispered that she should. The whispers in the video grew more frantic. One scientist turned abruptly, his eyes wide with fear as if he had heard something terrifying just beyond the camera's view. Then, static. Her fingers tightened around the device. And then, the static cleared. The screen now displayed her own reflection, but not as she was now. No, the version of her in the footage looked different. Older, worn, terrified. She gasped. The reflection's lips moved, mouthing something she couldn't hear. Then, a whisper filled the room. He sees you. The screen snapped to black. The device slipped from her grip, crashing onto the floor. And somewhere in the darkness behind her, she heard footsteps. Approaching. Slow, uneasy tone, building tension as the realization sets in. The dim light flickered above, casting long shadows across the cluttered desk. His fingers gripped the phone tightly, his breath shallow as he stared at the screen. It was him. Or, was it? The video on the phone played in eerie silence, showing a man in a white coat. Same sharp eyes, same neatly combed hair. The resemblance was undeniable, but something was off. The footage was grainy, almost too old to belong to a modern device. The timestamp in the corner, June 3, 1974, made no sense. He swallowed hard, glancing down at his own reflection on his phone. He was wearing the same clothes. The same watch. This couldn't be a coincidence. He tapped the play button. The video crackled to life. The man on the screen leaned closer, his mouth moving. No sound. He turned the volume up. Static. And then, a whisper. Listen carefully. You don't have much time. His pulse pounded in his ears. They know you've found this. The man in the video glanced over his shoulder. His expression shifted, from urgent to pure terror. Then, his lips formed a single word. Run. The screen flickered. The phone in his hand vibrated violently. And then, behind him, a voice that didn't belong to him. Why are you watching that? His breath hitched. He turned around, but the room was empty. Slow, trembling voice, rising tension as fear takes hold. The phone vibrated violently in her hands, the screen flickering as if struggling to hold onto reality. An incoming call, but not just any call. The number displayed, 02-33-823. It meant nothing to her. Or at least, it should have. Her breath came in short, panicked gasps as she stared at the device, an old phone, one she didn't remember owning. The buttons were worn, the plastic casing cracked. But somehow, it was in her hands, and it was ringing. She didn't want to answer. But she couldn't ignore it. The screen glowed eerily, almost pulling her in. The numbers seemed wrong, unfamiliar. Yet somewhere, deep in her mind, they sparked a feeling, a memory she couldn't quite grasp. Her fingers hovered over the buttons. Should she decline? Should she throw the phone away? The ringing stopped. Silence. Her pulse pounded in her ears. Had she waited too long? And then, A new message flashed on the screen. Answer. Her body stiffened. Her throat tightened. The phone vibrated again. Another call. Same number. This time, a whisper crept through the speakers, though she hadn't pressed accept. You shouldn't have ignored me. Her scream caught in her throat. The room around her shifted. The air grew heavy. The phone screen flickered again, but now, it wasn't just numbers. It was a reflection, not hers. The voice returned, chilling and hollow. Now, it's your turn to call. The screen went dark, and yet, the ringing never stopped. Soft, tense voice, with a growing sense of unease. The road stretched before her, slick with rain and swallowed by the darkness of the night. Two signs, two choices, neither made sense. She gripped the phone in her hands, a device not of this time. The cold metal pressed against her skin, the coiled cord dangling as if disconnected from reality itself. The glowing screen pulsed, casting eerie light against her face. The buttons were old-fashioned, yet somehow, it worked. And it was waiting. A distant rumble, headlights in the distance, approaching. But from which direction? She turned her gaze to the signs. RIS-9, R-187. What did they mean? She tried to remember how she got here. Tried to recall the last turn, the last road, the last moment that had made sense. Nothing. Her fingers trembled over the buttons of the phone. It felt alive. Then, a vibration. Incoming call. Her breath hitched. She knew, without a doubt, that she shouldn't answer. But she had no choice. The headlights grew brighter. The air thickened. The signs above her seemed to shift, their letters twisting, distorting. The phone screen flickered. She pressed accept. A voice, deep and distorted, crawled through the speaker. You have reached your destination. Her pulse stopped. The headlights, too close now. Too fast. A deafening horn. She turned, but there was nothing. Only the rain, the empty road, and the phone, still glowing in her hand. Still waiting. Still connected. But to what? The glow from her phone was the only source of light in the suffocating darkness. Her hands trembled as she read the words on the screen. If you're watching this, you're already in danger. Her pulse pounded in her ears. She swallowed hard, her breath shallow, uneven. This wasn't a prank. She could feel it. The air around her had changed, thicker, colder. A shadow flickered on the wall behind her. Her fingers tightened around the phone. She didn't want to turn around. She knew she shouldn't, but something was there. The phone screen glitched. The letters distorted, shifting in and out of focus. A notification sound. Her heart nearly stopped. New message received. She hesitated, but her thumb moved on its own, tapping the screen. The message was just one word. Run. A breath of cold air brushed against her neck. She gasped, whipping around. And froze. The figure loomed in the darkness. A twisted, screaming mask. Empty, hollow eyes locked onto hers. She wanted to scream, to move, but she couldn't. The phone vibrated again in her grip. Another message. Don't look away. Her hands shook violently. The creature stepped closer. Its presence swallowed the light, the warmth, the air itself. The phone screen cracked. The words flickered. Her lips parted. A whisper. A plea. But it was too late. The darkness reached for her. And the screen went black. The room was silent, except for the faint hum of the refrigerator and the sound of her own shallow breaths. She clutched the phone tighter, her knuckles white, her fingers cold. She didn't dare move, didn't dare breathe. Her wide, terrified eyes stayed locked on the figure behind the glass. A shadow, a presence. It wasn't human. Its hollow, soulless eyes bore into hers through the frosted glass. Two pale hands pressed against the surface, smearing the misty condensation. No mouth, no expression, just watching. The front door was locked. Wasn't it? She swallowed hard, gripping her phone with trembling hands. Her screen flickered. A new message. She hesitated, then looked down. Don't turn around. Her breath hitched. She felt it. That creeping, suffocating presence. Behind her. Inside the house. The air grew colder. A whisper, barely audible. Not from outside. From within. The door handle rattled. A long, slow creak echoed through the room. Her heart pounded against her ribs, desperate, frantic. She pressed her back against the cabinet, her body trembling. Her mind screamed for her to run. But her legs wouldn't move. The phone vibrated again. Another message. It's already inside. A shadow stretched across the floor beside her. The hairs on the back of her neck rose. She couldn't stop herself. She turned, and the screen went black.